Hi, I'm Squirrel. I am a collegiate athlete who has been hurdling for about 5 years now, and I thought I would make a video giving some tips and drills for beginner hurdlers. Um, I have, this is mostly based on how I was taught how to hurdle, and I've also spent a bit of time working with other beginner hurdlers, so I've been picking up little bits of advice that seem to have been helpful for them. So here's how to hurdle. So one thing I get from beginner hurdlers a lot is that they get scared of the hurdle. They come up to it and they just don't know how to even approach going over it. Um, and the main thing to communicate for someone who's really just getting started is that you want to go over one leg and then the other leg, rather than try to jump any odd way, which looks a little like this. So you put one leg over first, and that's your lead leg. I'm going to be referring to it as your lead leg from now on, so that's a bit of terminology to know. And then your trail leg comes over second. So it might seem intimidating, like the hurdle's coming at you pretty fast, but in the end, it really is those two motions that we just speed up. The first drill I want to talk about is a lead leg drill. So this is a drill for practicing what your first leg going over the hurdle is going to do. So I set the hurdle up against a fence. I set it up in front of the fence post just because that makes things a little easier. So what you usually do is you step a couple steps back from the hurdle. You take one step forward and you push your foot into the fence like this. Something to remember is you want your opposite arm to go forward as you put your leg forward. And here's an important one. You want to drive with your knee, not your foot. You don't want to just like kick the fence. Don't do that. You want to drive your knee up and your foot just follows. You can do a little step into it so you get a little more force, like that. And you can do that with both legs. And each time, opposite leg with your hand. So opposite hand from your leg. And for beginners, we usually do that about 10 times each side for a drill. All right. The next drill I want to go over is a trail leg drill. So to practice what you're doing with the second leg going over a hurdle. For this drill, I set the hurdle up facing the fence about 2 to 3 feet away. It's going to vary a little bit based on how tall you are. So if the height, if the distance doesn't feel quite right, you can always play with it. So for this one, you stand next to the hurdle and you put your hands against the fence like this. You want your leg further from the hurdle, slightly in front of it, and then you bring your trail leg up and then through and then down. The main part to remember with this is that you want to keep your knee up the whole time, like this, rather than like this. That's a common mistake I see. You want your knee up and pulling around to your chest before coming straight down. So it's kind of 3 motions of up, through, down. You don't want to just pull it forward. I actually did that correctly instead of wrong. You don't want to just like pull it forward like that. You want to pull it up to your chest and then directly down. As you do more of these, you can try to make it into one smoother motion, so kind of like that. But as you're just getting started, it's 100% okay to do it a little choppier until you can get it smoother. All right, so our next drill is also a trail leg drill. Trail legs are very important and one of the most important parts of hurdling, so there's a lot of drills to try to get this right. For this drill, I have set the hurdle perpendicular to the fence, so it makes a right angle right here. And the hurdle is currently at its lowest setting of 30 inches. You want to move the side closer to the fence up to the second notch at 33 inches. This forms a diagonal line with the higher side towards the fence. Okay, now that we have it set up, we can assume a similar position to with the last drill, standing next to the hurdle with your hands on the fence. And now you want to bring your foot up so it's resting on the hurdle with your knee also in line with the hurdle. You want to make a straight line here. You don't want it too far towards you or too far away. You want on the hurdle. And now you do a very similar motion to what you did with the last drill. You bring your foot up and then down. And you can do that again. This one is supposed to help you with the sensation of bringing your knee up, because that is a very common issue that we see of the knee falling down. You don't want the knee to fall off the hurdle at any point. You want to bring it up the whole time to your chest. I've had a coach always talk about bringing it to your armpit. If that is what helps you, that's a good way to think of it. And you can do this as well as any of the drills on both sides so that you get both legs equally worked out. Okay, for our next drill, we're ready to move the hurdle away from the fence and out into any open space. This drill is less working on a particular part of hurdle form and more to open up your hips so you're more ready to hurdle. For here, you will stand next to the hurdle like this, facing the straight part, and you want to bring your leg straight up and over and then back. If this is challenging for you, you can keep it like that until you get more comfortable with it. If you can be more comfortable with it sooner, you can add a little jump into it. So kind of like this. And once you've done that, you can do it with the other side as well. And I usually do about 10 each side just to get your hips a little more open and get you warmed up. Okay, so now that we're warmed up a little bit, we're ready to put those two motions of the lead leg and trail leg together into one drill. I currently have the hurdle up at 33 inches, which is the second notch on the hurdle. I'm about 5'10", and this is the height that usually makes sense for me for this drill. A lot of beginning hurdlers or shorter hurdlers like having it down at the lowest notch, like so, at 30 inches. So I would recommend if you're just starting there, but I'm a bit taller, so this works better for me. For this drill, you are going to start with the lead leg motion of putting your leg up and over the hurdle like this. And then you can rest your thigh on top of the hurdle. Here, like you were doing against the fence, you want to drive up with your knee and you want to make a straight line. I see often that new hurdlers try to go around like this. That is not good. You want a straight line, knee drive straight up, and then come to rest on the hurdle. And now, for the second part of this drill, you want to step forward with this leg and bring your trail leg over the hurdle like that. This is also mimicking the motion that you had on the fence of bringing it up to your side, knee up to your chest, and then straight down. As you're doing this, you want your opposite hand to go with whatever leg is up. So here you have opposite hand to leg. As you step forward, you want to end with your opposite hand forward as this comes down. As you can start at about that speed, I would recommend. You want to make sure you're doing it right before you're doing it fast, but as you're getting more comfortable with it, you can make it into a little more fluid of a motion of like that. The important thing here is kind of keeping straight the whole time. Like I said, you want this to drive straight up, and here you want this to drive straight down. So you're going in a straight line. This should help you for when you're actually hurdling. You want to be like running the whole time. You don't want to stop to jump. You want to just run through the hurdle. This will help with that. I can also demonstrate on the other leg, as especially for newer hurdlers, we want you to be comfortable going over with either leg because you don't know what will happen in a race. So with this leg, go over like that, and then that. All right, for our next drill, you can see we have 5 hurdles instead of just 1. We are moving into some rhythm drills to try to understand how to keep going after you hurdle rather than just do one, because in a race, there's going to be more than one hurdle. This drill, there's a lot of different ways I've seen it set up with how far apart the hurdles are from each other. Like my college team, for example, does a lot of like them fully pressed together. But for some beginners, I thought it would be nice to have some space. This usually helps people not feel cramped. How I set them up is, it's really up to you. I did about 4 of my own feet between each hurdle. I'm going to show me setting up the last one so you get what I mean by that. So I measured 1, 2, 3, 4 of my own feet to bring the hurdle here. Again, the exact distance doesn't matter too much. Do whatever feels comfortable to you, but enough that you can traverse the distance in just a step. So we are going to begin, again, with a lead leg drill. At my high school, we tended to call these lead leg marches. You stand next to the hurdle, you step up to it, and then with your leg closer to the hurdle, you want to drive your knee up and bring it down on the other side of the hurdle. So don't step in front of the hurdle, step to right behind it with your opposite leg, and then bring your leg closer to the hurdle, up with opposite hand, and then straight down. This should mimic a little bit what we were doing with the lead leg on the fence drill, where you drive with your knee and it's a straight line. And once you do that, you can do over all 5 of the hurdles in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you hit a hurdle a little bit like I did just there, don't worry about it, you're still doing it right. I'll show on the other side as well. So step, leg closer to the hurdle, remember, and opposite arm drives up. Okay, for our next drill, we are going to keep the same setup as from the last drill, so you don't have to move any of the hurdles. Now we are going to do a trail leg drill. This is going to be a very similar march kind of motion as the last one, but you're using your trail leg instead of your lead leg. So this is the leg that's going over the hurdle second. So you're going to stand next to the hurdle, and again you're going to step up to it with your outside leg further from the hurdle. But specifically this time, there's a difference. You want to step to just in front of the hurdle instead of just behind it. So you want to step just in front. And then from there, you're going to do like you did on the fence with your trail leg, or bring it up to the side, up, knee to your chest, and then straight down. And then you can take a step and do this again, same motion. Some things to remember when you're doing this, just like on the fence, you want to keep your knee up the whole time. Your trail leg knee up the whole time. I had a little group of like very young hurdlers I was teaching last year that the amount of times I said trail leg knee up while they were doing this drill became a kind of a joke for them, but I want to, that's a very important thing to remember. You want to keep your knee up as much as you can while you're doing this. And with your arms, at the same time, when your leg first comes up, your same arm is out in front of you, and as you pull it through, you pull that arm behind you as you come straight down. So they kind of mimic each other. As your leg comes forward, your arm comes back. All right, now I will show you doing a line of them. So step in front of the hurdle, up, in front of the hurdle, through, and you want to come straight down when you're done. I will do it again just to demonstrate. And you want to keep your movements kind of the same over each one because you want to develop a rhythm. You want to just keep going, so it's a very, I'm trying to think of a synonym for rhythmic, just the same motion, because when you're hurdling you want to have as similar of a motion between the hurdles as possible, and rhythm is very important, so this is to help get rhythm. I'll also do it on the other side just to show, because it is good to work both legs, especially when you're just getting started. So step in front of the hurdle, bring leg and arm through. All right, for our next drill, we are still keeping the same setup, but this time we are putting the lead leg and trail leg together once again. This will be very similar to the drill you saw earlier where you just stepped over, but you will be doing multiple hurdles in a row to try to get your rhythm down. So, as a reminder, you want to bring your lead leg up, knee first, straight over, and then step down on the other side and bring your trail leg through, keeping your knee up. And then, as you step, go straight into the next step of bringing your knee up, stepping over, bringing trail leg through. Step, like that. This helps put both of the motions together so you're familiar with how they work together, and once again helps develop that rhythm of you just keep going. And your arm moves kind of opposite to your leg, how we've been talking about it. You can go over all 5 hurdles like this. All right. I will also demonstrate on the other side so you get some extra perspective. Because once again, you want to go with both legs, especially when you're starting. All right, so for our next drill, we will once again be using 5 hurdles, but this time they are spaced a bit further apart than last time. I used about 10 of my own feet for the distance between them. You can try that if they seem too close or too far apart. You can always move them a little bit. So this drill is called lead leg skip. It's kind of like the lead leg march, but you kind of add a skip into it. I will demonstrate now. You're once again coming up to the hurdle. You'll be moving faster than last time, but I'm going to show it slower first. You are, again, stepping up with your outside foot and then driving your knee up, but this time you add a little hop to it. So it's kind of like that. So once again, step up to right behind the hurdle with your outside leg. Your inside leg is driving up with your opposite arm and a little hop. This one you're also going to be moving like forward a bit, and you're going to be going a bit faster and trying to get this up and down quicker. I'm going to demonstrate over 1 hurdle first and then show over the train of 5. So you usually approach with kind of high knees. You want to stay bouncy. So up and then come straight down and over. And between the hurdles, you kind of only want to take 1 step. That can be a little bit difficult, but don't worry too much. So once again, high knees up to the hurdle. Like that. I can also show on the other leg just to show how it looks there. And for this one, it's okay to take more of a break between reps. It can definitely get you a bit more out of breath, and you want to make sure you're doing it correctly rather than just pushing yourself. All right, high knees up to the hurdle, inside leg. Like that. Okay. All right, for our next drill, this is the trail leg skip. So very similar to the last drill, except for with your trail leg instead of lead leg. Hurdles are set up the same as last time, 5 of them about 10 of my feet apart. So, like the lead leg skip, you're going to be approaching with the high knees, but when you get there, this can be a little confusing for some people, but once you get the hang of it, it really isn't as confusing as you tend to think. With your inside foot, you're going to jump off that foot and go over with the same foot. I'll demonstrate now. So like this, with your trail leg motion of coming out to the side, up and down, but you're in the air, so you really have to do it a bit faster. It forces you to kind of get the snap down a little more and get the rhythm. So you're approaching it, outside leg up, and then you jump over with that. Some people that say that it helps them to imagine another hurdle right here that you're going over. So imagine you're jumping over with your outside foot as your lead leg over a hurdle here with your trail leg there. And once again, you're gonna add a little bit of a jump. So obviously there's a bit of a jump to it, or maybe a hop, and you're gonna try to do only 1 step between the hurdles. I will show now. All right. Like I said, this one tends to be one of the more challenging ones for beginner hurdlers, but it really is the same simple motion, just sped up and adding a little bit of a jump to it. I'll do it on the other side as well, just for additional reference. And you can approach this one with high knees as well. All right, now that we've done some drills, I think a very important step now is to actually go over a hurdle before we continue. Uh, you've done all the steps now, you know how to use your lead leg and how to use your trail leg, so this is really just about putting it together. For this part, don't really worry about doing it 100% correct. You just want to get comfortable going over a hurdle and knowing that you're not going to fall and that it's going to be okay. So you can back up from the hurdle a bit. You want to have enough room to like run up to it. And you want to put a little bit of speed. It's going to be hard if you don't have enough speed, but don't worry about going fast either. Just kind of jog up to it and put your lead leg and trail leg together. One leg first, other. Try to keep the same technique that we've been using. Just put it all together. So you can jog up, go over the hurdle like that. I'll do it one more time just to show. Again, don't worry about doing it perfect. Just try to do this a few times, maybe with both legs, get a little more comfortable with it. Okay. Like that. All right, now that we've gone over a hurdle, I'm setting the hurdles back up how they were before, 5 hurdles about 10 of my feet apart, for what we call a one-step drill. So the basic premise of this is you're going over the hurdles and taking one step in between. So you're going over with the same leg each time. This gets some repetition of the hurdle form and going over, as well as gets you used to a rhythm. Most hurdlers, especially for the short hurdles, so like the 100 hurdles or 110 hurdles, take 3 steps between hurdles in an actual race. You might not get this right away, but this just helps you develop that rhythm and the idea of going over the same leg each time. So we're pretty much just going to do what we just did in going over a hurdle, but now there are 5 of them and 1 step in between each one. Again, you don't have to go very fast. You can kind of jog up into it. I like doing high knees to get bouncier, and just don't worry about going fast. Just keep going over them. Remember, you want to put your lead leg straight up. Don't go around at all. I'll be closer to the hurdle. You want your lead leg straight up, not going around. That's bad. It needs to go straight up so you keep your hips square. And with your trail leg, you want to end up knee up near your chest before it comes down. Just try to remember all those basic principles we've been over in the other drills and just keep them as you go into this one. I will demonstrate now. Like that, and I will also do my other leg because it's important. I keep saying this, but it's important to practice with each leg when you're starting out. All right. High knees up to the hurdle, 1 step in between.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, so those were some drills for beginner hurdlers. Those are what I've always used to teach new hurdlers, and if you do those at the beginning of every hurdles practice, even though it might seem like a lot, that can help get the motions down very quickly. From here, we usually go to doing them maybe faster or at actual competition distance, though that could probably be its whole own video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will be more than happy to answer them. And good luck hurdling!